Hi, my name is Brady and I'm joined here today by Dona Occhipinti from MedSmart and Matthias Fink from TÜV SÜD, who are both speaking at the MedTech EU MDR Exchange virtual event this June. Thank you so much for joining me today. Matthias, what's your current role at TÜV SÜD?
Well, currently I have two roles at TÜV SÜD. I'm the global team leader for the orthopedic trauma and dentistry team. And I'm also here in the US, the team manager of the clinical focus team for North America.
Great. And Donna, what's your role at the moment?
Absolutely. So I'm an independent medical device consultant. I've been helping manufacturers understand the EMDR implementation and how to strategize what is sufficient clinical evidence and strategies to support PMCF.
And with that, Donna, what do you think, what are companies finding sort of the biggest challenge with EMDR implementation?
Yeah, I think the biggest issue is the uncertainty and kind of the parallel paths between the notified bodies trying to understand what the regulation is and also manufacturers trying to understand as well. We're all in this together. Matthias, I know we've had this conversation several times. There is no good guy, bad guy here. And we're both trying to figure out what right is and what good looks like. And I think, as we get closer and closer to our date of application, we're finally starting to fine tune those two parallel paths, but working in silos at first and then trying to come together to get to the right answer together, I think has been very challenging.
And Matthias, from a notified body point of view, what do you think the biggest challenge has been?
Well, of course, I cannot go into details. I cannot talk about any projects we are working on, so to spill any beans here. But of course, what we are seeing, and this is from my perspective, from a clinical side, manufacturers are still working, trying to adapt to those new requirements under the MDR. So there's the SSCP, Summary of Safe Clinical Performance. Manufacturers are still trying to get their head around, okay, how detailed this SSCP should be. Also, we're going to see a couple of new things in the CER. So they now manufacturers clearly have to define the clinical benefit for the patients and including the outcome parameters. This is something we see discussions all the time. And so these are two of the topics we are seeing at this point that it looks like a lot of manufacturers are still a little bit struggling with that and trying to get this implemented into their processes.
Okay, great. And there's not that long to go now until the date of application coming up in May. So Donna, what do you think most companies need to be thinking about sort of after the date of application with the MDR?
Yeah, Rebecca, that's a great question, especially because MDR is a remediation activity. There's a lot of visibility. There's a lot of dollars that are being put into this to keep companies global and CE marked products, and a lot of decisions have been made on how to approach the remediation. And my fear is that companies aren't yet thinking about how to sustain that new maintenance of business. This is a paradigm shift. And I think that, as we work through remediation, we should also be considering with as much energy what this is going to look like as we shift into full MDR certificates. So if companies haven't yet started thinking about that, it would be a good time to try to figure out what those resources are going to look like and our life after remediation.
And obviously, everyone got an extra year because of COVID. And Matthias, what do you think what impact that's had on the MDR?
I mean, yes, as you said, it got everyone an extra year, but I really have to be careful that no one really thinks, okay, now I have much more time on my hand. I mean, it got the extra year, and of course, COVID was a big impact. We've seen this as a notified body, that a lot of hospitals were closing down certain areas because they really were focusing, especially at the beginning of last year, of treating of COVID patients. So we've seen a delay in probably ongoing post-market and pre-market clinical investigations. So manufacturers really are sometimes struggling to get the clinical data. Of course, the notified bodies are adapting to that in a pragmatic way. It also get everyone, including the notified bodies, more time to implement their own procedures, maybe to update their own procedures for the MDR. But again, manufacturers have to be ready, and so it got everyone a little bit more time. And one, I think, last important aspect is because this was also one of the reasons for the delay of the MDR. There's more time now to get more notified bodies designated under the MDR until the date of application in May 2021.
There's still so much going on then with the MDR and lots to be talking about at our June event. Matthias, what are you most looking forward to at the conference?
Well, first of all, I like looking forward to have this interactive discussion with Dona, of course, because we are really coming from two different perspectives on that. And I also like always those interactions with every stakeholder. The different notified bodies will be present, manufacturers will be present, and it's always a good feedback to see probably, okay, what are the problems manufacturers are dealing with. It's always, I think, helpful if notified bodies can get out their interpretation of certain aspects of the MDR, just the overall goal to get everyone more and more aligned with those conferences.
Brilliant. And Dona, what's your sort of highlight?
Yeah, well, I echo what Matthias has said. It's always great to converse together and with other manufacturers and stakeholders. But I think I'm also really interested to hear how there's been multiple approaches to a common goal. You know, we all want to reach MDR successfully, and that's, you know, it's a common public health goal. Amidst COVID-19, who would have thought that a regulation change would have happened amidst a pandemic? And I think that, you know, if we come out this together as an industry, that's, you know, that's what success looks like. So looking at how there's been different approaches to solve this problem as a team and to converge on that will be really great.
Great. Well, I'm really looking forward to your session. As Matthias mentioned, you're both speaking on sort of an experience exchange session on clinical aspects under the EU MDR. So I'm looking forward to that. And well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to speaking to you again in June.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, Matthias.
Thank you both.